And I think as we talk about the fact that you guys are scale and national and large, there's certainly a local presence too. You've got Rick and his people that are here, in the trenches. So while we talk about you guys have a lot of great resources in Minnesota, you're local too. You've got a local office, you've got a local presence. It's similar to a large real estate franchise network where they've got like Remax, for example. We have a corporate headquarters in Denver, but we've got a bunch of local offices too. So there's that kind of 1-2 punch that you guys have. So the agents know that while some of the behind the scenes stuff happens out of Minnesota, the consumer facing stuff is local people. Local people, local business.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, this is a people business, and so we're very big on that, making sure that we can provide. And Rick does a fantastic job here with providing that human interaction. And so the nice thing is, I think, as we're talking a lot about the technology, is it frees up a lot of the tasks, so we can focus on the human aspect.
No question about it. And I think that's where technology gets mistaken a lot of times. Is they want to replace the human interaction, and you can't do that. You guys' technology is meant to enhance the human interaction with the customer, and I think we focus on, that's one of our core values that we focus on at our company too. Well, you've got a lot of people out there that have thought about renting their home, or maybe they're intimidated. They want to own it for a year or two and maybe make a little bit more money because they know prices and rents are rising. What does and I'll let whoever wants to pipe in on this one pipe in. What's an ideal client for Renters Warehouse look like? What is it that your focus is, and I think that's people out there listening right now that are curious about hey, maybe I should rent my house.
Well, I mean anybody who owns a home is a client for us, and certainly that's the way the company started. We had it at a time when it was either short sale or foreclosure, or maybe two options.
So they had to rent it because they couldn't do either one of those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then
so you guys started because you guys were started like in the late 2000s, 07, 08, when that foreclosure bust was happening, and people are throwing their hands up saying, I don't want to trash my credit and do a short sale. I have money, but I need to move. What do I do? And I would say that there's no question that's going to come back. We know real estate is cyclical in nature. Prices go up and prices go down. There's going to be a point in our future where we're back, to the drawing board again, and people are in a situation where, hey, I got to rent, short sale, or foreclosure. Okay, I'm renting it. So the fact that you guys are dialing in this now, the next time this comes around, you're going to be sitting pretty in a great position for customers.
And we have a lot of people that are lost for what to do for an investment these days.
Oh yeah.
And with the ability to have a solid investment of something that is going to be there to maybe position as a piece of the portfolio from their investment standpoint, or even just this is. And in most cases, it's the #1 investment that people have.
Correct.
So, there's a lot that, you've got tax benefits, you've got the fact that you can take certain write-offs that you maybe have never been able to take before. Renting versus selling has tons and tons of benefits.
I think the other thing is if you look at people that, so you look at all of the, there's no question we've got a tumultuous election going right now, and a lot of polarizing stuff going on in politics. And I think there's a lot of people fearful about what's going to happen with the equities markets, what's going to happen with interest rates. If you own a lot of Google stock, you can't go over to Google and paint the front door and improve the value. Right. If you own real estate, you control it. So you can make improvements to the real estate. You can you can control the asset. You can improve its value. You can have sweat equity into it to improve it, and you can't do that with any other asset class. The other thing I love, we strongly encourage real estate investment with our customers. We love working with investors that are buying rental properties. You talked about the tax benefits. That goes unnoticed a lot. People will look at and say, okay, well, I can make this much per year, but they're not factoring in. And again, talk to your CPA. Everyone's tax, I got to give the little disclaimer so someone doesn't send me a nasty gram, but everyone's tax brackets are different. But depreciation, write-offs, costs, money into the house, all these types of things that people, things that are expenses that you get to write off that you don't get to write off with other investments. So if you're someone who doesn't like how much you pay in tax, you have a great opportunity to do that. You may not want to do it too much though, or then you may be in an election and the press may kill you over never paying taxes. But ultimately, there's a lot of great things, and they don't factor it in. They look at the annualized return, but they don't factor in the improvement that they get into their taxes, and I think that's one thing that gets missed a lot in that evaluation. And I'm sure you guys have models for that. You guys have calculators and different things for investors to come in and look at it that really help them dial in. I know because I looked at them, it really helped them dial in what the real, operating income and what the real return is, factoring all that in.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
And let me continue on Matt's point of the perfect renter, or the investor is one that has indecisions. They don't know whether to buy or whether to sell and or rent. So we go in, we do the rental analysis, we show them those numbers, but they can go to renterswarehouse.com and go to the calculator, and it will spit out a 5-year return. And at the end of the day, what's better off, selling today or renting over the next 5 years?
Yep.
It's a very powerful tool.
And I think, again, a lot of times there's no question that makes sense. And it's not right. We know it's not right for everyone. There's going to be some people that are like, I don't want to deal with that, or I'm moving, or it's a really high-priced home. Some of those get a little bit more challenging, at least here. Hard to make decent returns on renting out $1 million house. We know what the wheelhouse is. I would assume that you guys do rent some of those, but it's probably not that normal everyday, properties. You're probably in that wheelhouse of, the average and above average, price points. And here that's, everywhere I would say from the hundreds to the 500 maybe. And probably down south like Sarasota, that number goes up a little bit. You get into Lakewood Ranch or some of the luxury areas, and maybe it's a little bit more pricey.
Our warehouse is probably between the $150,000 to $300,000 home.
Yep.
And the average rent that we're seeing in this area is between $1,500 and $1,600 a month.
And some real simple math, if you're listening to this and you're wondering, okay, well, maybe there's a property manager I've worked with forever. There's a local, just historically. And there's no standards in any of the fees, whether it's property management or real estate commissions or whatever. There's never a standard that's prohibited by federal law, but there's norms. And I've seen a lot of property management companies across the board in terms of the percentages, and I think a lot of them tend to hover around 10 to 12%. So if you're looking at a $1,500 a month rental, a normal property management company may cost you $150 a month. You guys are coming in $51 cheaper a month over a year. I mean, that's a vacation. That's a lot of trips to Starbucks, So there's some savings there, just from the simple math that you guys, and then what's that drill down to for the investor? A better return. A better return for the investor. Not only did you rent it quicker and do a better job with the process, but you did it more cost effectively. So the landlord makes more money, and I think we all like that.
I think typically too, people when they're looking at real estate as an investment, particularly from a rental standpoint, are just flat out intimidated.
True.
I know.
Completely true.
I mean, if it's your first time, oh my gosh, I got to find a good tenant. What if it's not a good tenant? What if they trash my house? Oh my gosh, how am I going to take care of this? Who's going to manage all of this? And we just take all those headaches away.
And I think there's hesitancy too for the first time renter when it's their home that they lived in and they're moving, because there's an emotional attachment.
Wow.
And you have to, if you're going to go that path, you really start to have to think about your house as a business.
Right.
You have to lose the emotional attachment, understand it's like a bank account. Is it going to make you money or not make you money? And are they going to necessarily maintain it exactly like you would? Maybe not. But if you're making money on it, it doesn't matter. And maybe they will, but there'll certainly be, a tenant won't always take as great a care of it as you would as the owner, but at the point in which you move out, it doesn't really matter anymore. It's a bank account, and so I think that's an important feature. So we're going to continue this. We're going to talk about some trends in Tampa, so some report about rental prices. We're going to talk about millennials and baby boomers driving the rental growth demand, specifically here in Tampa, as that's a large part of our population growth. And we're going to continue this conversation with Renters Warehouse and renterswarehouse.com after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Show on 970 WFLA.